The Bone Man. Nolan Plenty wasn't as strange as one might think, having only a few friends, a modest grade point average, and a simple life. Hardly a spoiled or nearly abused child, as kind as he could be cruel. Either end based solely on how he was treated. Nolan had not a single spark of malice in his body. One could say he was disliked at large while having his share of issues in life, as any boy of 14 might encounter. He did his chores, his homework, and on Saturday nights he and his friends watched each other as their collective parents had similar shifts at the local factories, while not one of them enjoyed the company of a babysitter. All of them shared a single unadjusted enthusiasm for games and anything of horror relation. This made them a bit odd among the rest of their rural peers, none of them seeming to mind, in the age of social media, Xboxes, and MMO servers. The small group found a love for more personal gaming, the books stacked on shelves in the hall leading to Nolan's room. Nolan discovered the games by innocent accident when allowed to pick out a gift from a local second-hand store. There, on a steel rack lit by the white fluorescent bulbs overhead, the shiny black cover with a slab of perfectly squared onyx, with bold red letters in mystic English font the word Ravenloft. He picked up the book with the ghoulish artwork of a fang-bearing vampire with bloody red eyes, full of hunger. The cover alone had his curiosity piqued. Not wanting to judge, however, he flipped through the pages, every picture, every letter-bound rule gathering a foresight into wonderment. He screamed in tearful agony when his mother refused to buy it, one of only a few recorded times he had ever had a fit over any object, which earned him a scolding and later a spanking outside of the full blue sedan his mother drove. The book, albeit a 2-week wait before he could have it in his possession, was his. Once his sentence was over, he would read with difficulty again and again until the dynamics became clear to him. Sherman, Nolan's elder brother, by 3 years, mocked him for his lack of understanding of many of the words. But seeing his brother growing so overexcited by the book caught a fever in him as well. He did help as best he could to aid in any area Nolan had trouble, stealing the book away when he was able to. Sherman read the book as fast as possible. It wasn't but 3 weeks more before the two sat down and played a game. From there they were hooked, both saving any allowance they could, and when able, buying more books, more dice, and games to play. Little Digger, whose real name was Dominic, was the next to fall in love with the games, joining the brothers. Digger, being the same age as Nolan, brought the joy of having an extra mind to add to the games. Angie, who lived only a mile from the boys, came around next, having only the knowledge that she had to pass time constructively, not chasing the free-range animals around or making general mischief. Like most children of that age, she and Nolan begrudgingly spent time together as a request of their prospective parents. Angie brought her girly princess side to the otherwise boyish dreamings of the stories, which at first had no interest in. She might be the farm girl tomboy, but she prided herself on a blooming feminine side. Her time with the boys opened her up to being just one of them. It didn't take long before she was intently staring at the ripping guts and making jokes at their expense, just as the boys did to one another on nights where they would watch the movies. They would, of course, watch many different genres of horror or science fiction, mostly to gain ideas for new games, sharing books to help in the same manner, trading old copies of Dragonlance as if they were playing cards. Angie found a new niche in the works of Terry Pratchett. The final player, Josh, came in shortly after Angie. Being the odd man out as the new kid, he needed the company. His family taking over a large dairy farm to which he himself had no interest in. His father took work at the local diesel plant, and his mother took residency as a nurse in the next town. Josh had no one of his age on the farm. Meeting Nolan and Digger at school, he fit into their little tribe with his love of classic horror and science fiction. It wasn't long before he was addicted to the takes as well. A bit on the heavy side, he had trouble making friends at school as it was. The group never made him feel out of place or unwanted, something his home life seemed to do now. Angie and Digger, like Josh, had parents that worked long hours in the next town. A track record for the group, all of them, even the older Sherman, felt the gap in the lack of a full family unit. The games became a bind between them all. Their own little band of lost boys, as it were. Nolan and Sherman took turns at first being the master storytellers, weaving tales of dark intrigues and land where hope had been lost. Angie came next, while she did not find the good grace of storytelling, and the other two argued at first as to whom would have the honors. They traded books and debated the best systems, but before long they all had hands in their own creations, fantasy, modern, mystic, magical. All of them played out, yet all of them found peace in the dark tales, the lonely cabin in the woods, apocalypse after apocalypse, hordes of flesh-eating corpses, villainous brain-eaters, plants that rule the world, psychopaths stalking lakeside camps. They've battled them all. Every game style and story each could make up brought them together in deeper bonds, allowing them a grandeur sense of family. Each week a new story as they stayed up late sitting around the dingy second-hand table in Nolan's kitchen, which seemed to fit with the decor as it is battered from years of abuse, the once rich walnut a light brown with several deep gouges across the sectional top. They all preferred using this particular table as it was the only round table they had access to. If the leaf was needed to provide extra space for the five of them to sit with pencil, plate of food, a cold drink, and a character sheet. Each arranged according to their liking, each with a cup or bag filled with various dice, most scattered out in front of them. Even at 17, Sherman stayed in to enjoy the game with the group, who all seemed to look up to him. They were the cool kids that had a senior for a friend. On more than one occasion, the boys mocked Angie for staring at him, a natural thing, as he was the oldest, and she still just a girl, now one with a crush. No one took any of the rubbing to heart, no matter how unnecessarily prolonged it could be. Sherman sat with his feet on the empty chair, as Nolan hardly ever sat, even on nights when he was only a player in the game. They were all excited as Sherman and Nolan had both worked on the night's game, a tale of grim remains, dark embedded forest, and the waking nightmare that stalks the shadows.